Go ahead and get going. I think everybody knows me, but my name's Mark Scorsone. I'm the Assistant USM Director under Joe Jansen. Joe is with us tonight. And we're trying to do these huddles every other week. Hopefully you're finding them encouraging and helpful. I think in May, we might be going to once a month. I know we have Josh Finley lined up for the 14th of May. And right now I have Adam McCain for the 28th of May, but we might be switching that one out to June. But we'll just play those by ear. Everybody's still awake to be doing these at 8 o'clock at night, or do we need to up the time? I know for me, I'm ready to crash, but I took some Geritol. I stole my oldest son's hat tonight to brighten things up, so we're ready to roll. We also have some other things coming up that we're doing here at the fellowship. Debbie's going to share on those little informational things as we get a little into the huddle tonight. But I'm thrilled. We have Eric Peoples. Eric and I were students together at Elim Bible Institute before it was a college. My first memories of Eric is that, you guys remember that? Who remembers the old gym, the asbestos gym at EBI? And
Luke controlling this. Okay, no. Stories, let's see. They get crazy.
They get crazy, but I think I told this at the key leaders, but I remember he came in with, it was 84, the summer of 84, the fall of 84. And he came in with these short shorts on and took the basketball and literally dunked every time. And I just kind of walked off the court, just like, I don't want any part of that. But
can he still do that though?
Yeah, if
it just would depend on my recovery rate, bro. It's the recovery rate by this point. But I'm like, it was because I was from New Jersey. That's why, baby. It was just full tilt right out of the gate.
But I think those rims were about 3 inches lower in there.
Yeah, something like that.
I think Doug Abbey lowered them for his purposes, but we won't throw him under the bus.
He's recording this, Jesus.
But yeah, I've been around Eric for a while. He's been with Highest Call and over at Church of the Living God as the associate and youth pastor there. And now he's got his own church that I don't know how long you call it a church plant, but he's still.
I haven't figured it out yet, bro. Like I don't know. I'm thinking I'm gonna write a blog on that. Maybe see what happens. 6 years. When you get to year 6, you're still a church plant. I don't know.
7, you have to make the jump. But we're going to let him share a little bit. Go ahead, Joe.
It's officially a church when you have a group leave.
I think we're there, bro. I think we're there. Or you send them out.
That was after the first week, but we were
day 2.
Day 2. But I'm excited. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm really excited to hear Eric share his heart. He's going to share for about 15 minutes. And then I'd love to get into some discussion. I really want you to be thinking about, maybe some things that he's saying that's going to challenge you a little bit, or something else that's on your heart. We're going to, after that, we'll take a little break. And then I want to talk about some things that are on your mind, on your heart, maybe some struggles, some wins, and we can go from there. But go ahead, Eric, go share your heart with us tonight. So glad that you're able to join us and take time out of your schedule. You said you've been going since 6:45 this morning, so let's end it on a high note here.
We're gonna go, bro. We're gonna burn it up, because why not? Hey, what's going on, people? I'm excited about the New Jersey folks. That just warms my heart every time. Like, Jesus is still alive in New Jersey. Thank God. Like, heck yeah. Okay. Anyway. I grew up in Union, New Jersey, and that's, we call that land of the free, home of the brave, New Jersey. But anyway, I don't want to digress, talk about other things. But I don't know about you, but I don't really want to take like 20 minutes and talk about my bio. But one of the things I was a youth pastor for 19 years, and that was hilarious because I didn't really set the timeline on how long I was going to be a youth pastor. The only thing I knew was I loved being around young people. And I'll tell you why. Adults, you fix. Young people, you train.
Right.
And that might sound really brutal, but if you think about it just for a moment, adults you fix, young people you train. Think about how crazy kids are, right? You come up with this idea, like we're going to do a mission trip, and we're going to go to Costa Rica, and it's going to cost $1,700. They don't have any money at all. But the fact of the matter is they don't have a problem asking anybody for money. They don't have a problem if they can't get off from working in Burger King for the week and a half they need to get off, they'll quit. Because they're just like, dude, let's go. It's just so amazing. And you realize, man, when having this opportunity with young people, you're actually setting them up and you're creating a ripple effect in their lives. So I can tell you now, man, 30 years later, like that's kind of crazy. 26 years later, I'm around young people. So around kids, I've literally from the cradle, now they're actually like parents, right? Who have faith for the challenges that we're even presently in with this COVID thing. They have, they're saying things about, hey, if this job doesn't work out, I know that God's going to open another door. I just want to encourage you, that we are ruining people for average. Just get a hold of that. And in the midst of that, God is using their lives to ruin you for average. And you are experiencing the grace of God. And you have to stay flexible. I went to, it was a few years ago, actually, I'm 54, I'll be 55 in June. And I don't really say that because I'm like, oh, you're old, because a lot of people don't think I'd ever live that long. So I'm just excited about the fact I outlasted them. The school teacher's like, you're going to be dead by your 16. Outlasted her. Huh? Anyway. But the fact of the matter is that I remember going, I was trying something new. And I just want to encourage you in the fact that this whole COVID thing is, you're trying something new and you didn't even sign up for it. You didn't even ask for this. You're like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean youth group is canceled, but we're going to do it online? How are we doing this? This is crazy. And there's just, it's just, I went to this, so anyway, I went to this CrossFit gym. A friend of mine is opening it up. I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm going to go. Why not? Sign up, be there with them, the launch of this thing. So I was doing pretty good. Like the first, because they have this like warm-up class you have to take, right? This like whole like CrossFit class. So anyway, I was doing pretty good the first 4 minutes, because that was just lay on the mat. I was like, I can lay on the mat. And then it was these poses that, quite honestly, the last time I was that flexible was my mother's womb. And I'm like, dude, like, and this lady, she was like 5'3", and so I'm like 6'2", 270, right? And I'm like, so I'm a big guy. I'm a broad shoulders, so I mean, you wouldn't even realize how much weight I've been actually losing weight. It doesn't show because I'm just a wide person. But this lady is like, she's like convinced that somehow, some way, I don't know if I'm going to be the next Zumba or yoga instructor in her mind or something, but I'm thinking to myself, like, this whole thing is called a pigeon stretch. And she's like, here, let me just pull your leg back a little further so you can feel the burn. I'm like, lady, I was feeling the burn when you were even getting us in the position. I'm like, this is like crazy. Football player. Like, dude, like, what? Like, this is, and she's like, here, let me hold your leg up. I'm like, don't touch me. And she's like, yeah, because I'm from New Jersey. I said, listen, okay, because we had passed the whole thing, like, lady, you're pushing this now, because she's like, well, I don't want you to give up. I said, listen, quit is in the trunk of my car. You need to realize that. I'm not going to quit, but I do understand that this is going to hurt, and so I'm taking my time. My friends, this moment we are in right now is forced flexibility. You might have not been stretched like this ever before in your entire life. And you might even feel like the Holy Spirit, who's your personal trainer right now, is telling you to get into a pigeon stretch. And you're thinking, I have not been here before. And, that song, Fear is a Liar. You're thinking to yourself, that internal voice, I call it the internal heckler of what's going on for you, I want to encourage you that in so many ways, as we look at the Bible, it's really nothing new. It's just the fact that, you know, as we're working through this process of challenge, as we're working through this thing, I love what John Maxwell, he said this. He said, you know, that the challenge about uncertainty is that uncertainty forces us to get off automatic. You know, maybe for some of you had things on cruise control. You're like, oh, of course, and you know, Billy's going to come and lead worship, and Susie's going to preach, and everything's going to be great, and we got everything all set up. It's great, and you're like, I've worked hard to finally have some order and structure, and here we are, the disruption. I'm right there with you. Like, I get it. I have been, I love what Graham Cook talks about when God starts working on your life to die quietly. That's kind of hard because sometimes, you know, I don't know why I'm having all these gym references, but there's people that I've recognized in the gym when they're lifting weight that isn't really that heavy, and yet they're screaming. I'm trying to understand, like, what's wrong with them? Like, what? Like, dude, like, that is not really heavy. So what is wrong with you? Like, I don't know. And I literally will, it's super disruptive to me. And it's like, it's just, I don't know how you're finding yourself handling things if you're making more noise than necessary because it's uncomfortable. But I want to encourage a couple things just in this way. And we're going to look at Mark chapter 4 in just a minute. I want to just say this to you. Now, I'm just going to read a couple verses to you because I think it'll really encourage you. And then I just want to share a couple thoughts on this. But you know, Mark chapter 4, and you look at verses. It's familiar passage of scripture, and it's really talking about when the disciples are in the boat. You know, Jesus says, "Let's go to the other side," and it's kind of interesting when you start thinking about who's on board in the boat, right? You have some people who are actually expert fishermen. Peter walked on water. I mean, he knew. I mean, he was defying things all the time. But you had, I mean, you had the sons of Zebedee. I mean, these people were in the boat. They were having this experience, and but it's interesting how the Bible tells us that when Jesus said, "Let's go to the other side," he wasn't wondering if they're going to get there. They were. It says that the storm broke out. Now, I've been on the Sea of Galilee, and actually, it's kind of funny. I was on the Sea of Galilee last year, and we're all hanging out, everyone's singing, and then the fog kind of came in, and it's not really big, and it got a little chilly, it got a little windy, and it's funny how I was watching some of the people who were singing stop singing. They're kind of like, hey man, what's going on here? And they got a little nervous, and I was thinking to myself, like, some of these people, they actually might not make it if we have to swim to the shore. But what I will say is this, is that experience tells us, expertise tells us, as we look at the lives of some of these disciples, that their expertise did not prepare them for an experience that they never had, right? Because it says they were complaining. They were like going, hey, Jesus, whoa, hey, what are you doing sleeping right now when we could actually die? So that tells me that this storm that they were in was something that they had never, ever experienced. It was something that was beyond their expertise. I've got good news for you. That is what's going on in the entire world right now.
Right.
The experts right now in the medical field are at best guessing based on past experience that isn't connected to this virus at all. Things are actually, it seems to be, things are trending way better than they thought, 100%. And for my New York State folks, my man Cuomo, this guy didn't do anything. I was like, man, I wonder when this guy's going to die. Anyway, I mean, that might sound really brutal, but I'm like, you start throwing down like that, bro, you are pushing it. Sorry. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. But so it's like, I'm looking at this, and the disciples, you know, it's like, they face storms. Why would we think for some reason that we won't face storms? You're going to face storms. Why would we think that we're not going to face uncertainty? Why would we be frustrated by this journey called faith, and yet disruption's coming, and we're upset because automatic has been bumped off course? For many, I know even for myself, the word surrender is being retooled. The word surrender is being redefined for me, because there was a lot of things that I thought that I had surrendered to the Lord that I really had my fingers still on. Like, Lord, you just have your way. Well, most of the way. Well, okay, maybe some of the way. But all the way? Jesus, that I'm all about metrics. And, we know how many people came to church, and we know how many people got saved, and we know how many filled out guest cards and our welcome packets and blah, blah, blah. We're not filling out welcome cards or even doing welcome packets, people. It's not happening. It's just crazy. As a matter of fact, we've been online, and now online we're averaging somewhere between, our church is in size about 250 now. We're averaging somewhere around 16 to 1,800 people. That's hilarious to me. People watching the services. Last week for Easter, we had 7 people give their lives to Jesus online, which is really awesome. It's hilarious because I'm thinking, like, I don't even have any metrics in my mind for that. Like, what does that look like? I mean, usually we high five, we hug, we're like, come on back for coffee. This is great. I know nothing. So here's the question about all this. Here's the moment we have in our own lives as far as really allowing the Holy Spirit to define for us what our calling and our destiny looks like. Like the internal wrestling matches that we're going through, I'm wondering, what are those things that are actually more out of control and more out of our automatic being disrupted than actually living with the uncomfortable perspective of a new level of faith that's required? Like, how are we, like, so right now I'm speaking to that fact of where are you at? Because where you're at actually has way more impact than you could even imagine. See, where you're at, having the margins of resting and trusting God is going to really make the difference. When I believe right now, this is the most amazing time for leadership to rise up, because in uncertain times, people are looking for people to point the way and bring hope and bring leadership and bring encouragement. And so what you're going to have to wrestle with is when you think about the storm that we're presently in, what has your attention the most? Is it the wind and the waves? Is it Jesus asleep in the stern? Is it you going through the files in your mind of, I've never been here, I've never been here before? What has got your attention? What are you focused on the most? Because what you focus on the most actually will make the difference for the people that come to you. And the challenge that are going to be presented to you. See, I think people right now are like, oh my gosh, I just can't wait to get back together. There are going to be things that you're going to discover that's happening in the lives of the people that got set in motion, that now have to be walked out and pastored. Mm-hmm. Now these people need to be loved through some stuff. Because here I'm thinking about something simple. This might sound really crazy, but I'm realizing it is that there are a lot of people who have hung around Jesus. They've gone to church, doing a lot of stuff, but they have not lived in the wonders of his love. The disciples, if you'll remember, it says that when Jesus stood up and he rebuked the wind and the waves, there were 2 things that happened. He asked the question, why are you so afraid? So I'm going to ask you the question, what are you most afraid of? I wanted to level set it for you to say, everyone in the world right now has never been through this. Nobody has a grid for this. Okay, so what you might think is new just for you is new for the world. So that's really different. And then my other question is, when Jesus speaks to the wind and the waves, it says that they said, who is this that the wind and the waves even obey him? I want to encourage you to stay in the place in the wonders of his love and the wonders of his power. Because it didn't end there. The boat landed, they got out, they ran into someone who was demon possessed. I want to encourage you to stay right there, right where you are, in the midst of uncertainty, realizing that for certain Jesus is with you.
Good. Good. Some challenging stuff there. Eric, do you think that Jesus was really asleep in the boat? Or do you think it was a test that he had one eye open, seeing how they were going to respond to it?
I think he was asleep, because when he said, let's go to the other side, he wasn't wondering if they were going to get there.
Right.
I'm like, dude, we're going to go. It's like people who stay in a plane and they think that they stay awake the entire flight, like the 10-hour flight, that the plane will stay in the air. It's like, dude, go to sleep.
That's good. I've always pictured him with like one eye open, like, let's see how these boys react.
I don't know, maybe.
But so we're going to go into a little time of questions here a little bit, but before we get into yours, what are some of the things that we're focusing on? What are you guys are focusing on? And maybe what are some of the fears? What's some of the stuff you're going down that you've never gone down for before, and it's kind of raising some caution or fears? Anybody want to go ahead and be transparent and share a little bit before we take a little break? Anybody? I see Joe's eyes. They're all
I think one thing that's challenging for me right now is we have a lot of seniors in our youth ministry, and a lot of them are committing to colleges, and it's not being able to just really walk with them through that step. I know the statistics of kids that leave and go to college, and it's not really the best statistic of how many stay with God, with the Lord, and we're not getting to really minister to them. So we are, but in person, it just seems like you can really speak into someone's life more. So I'm just trying to figure out ways to be able to meet with these kids and to just encourage them and to continue to disciple them as they're getting ready to take that huge step and go to college. And it's scary for them, and it's not an easy situation, not even knowing how the school year might start or everything that's going on.
right.
But it's been challenging seeing them wrestle this, and you can't really be there to kind of walk them through it in person. So it's just something we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and they're all dealing with their senior year not going as planned, and the graduation parties and graduation itself. It's all going to be really different. So it's just there's a lot of discouragement with a lot of those young people going on. I know that people are coming up with some creative ideas on how to limit that discouragement, but it's truly something different than we've ever gone through here. I see there's a question coming up here through Facebook here, talking about, let's see, how young people are open to faith, the mission trips. How do you thin out and cultivate that into the aging? I'm not sure if I follow that question there a little bit. Joe, do you see that question on the chat? So you've opened talking about how young people are open to faith / mission trips. How do you thin out or cultivate that into aging?
How
Do you question?
Well, I've taken missions teams for, I don't know. Melody went on a mission trip with me. That's how old I am. I've done mission trips now. I've taken, I don't know, like almost like 1,500 people on mission trips. 45 nations, been pretty amazing. Sometimes people suck. I know you're recording that, and it's true. And guess what? Jesus had Judas Iscariot. But here's my thing. My thing is that you're going to have to take a risk, and sometimes you're going to get it right, and sometimes you get it wrong. But I've learned this way: if you just choose to pastor hunger and not try and pastor potential, you're going to be awesome, and it's going to be well. And there'll be people that'll look over your shoulder. And I was thinking to Anthony, to your point, man, it's like, dude, I have young people. I still get Father's Day's cards. I still it's pretty amazing over the years. And as you're investing and saying to a kid, hey, listen, I'm here for you. You got my number. You can call me. If you're pastoring, they will go after it if they know what you do. And so I want to say to you, like, do stuff like this. Listen, man, you're going to go to college, and you know what? One of the things I know that I do well, I do this really well. And if you need some of this, I can help you with that, and it's going to be awesome. But I think with the whole like mission trip, I used to do this thing where it's like, you know, we reached across the ocean before we reached across the fence. I would start off as close to home as possible, because it makes it really easy to drop them off at home if they're a fool. And doing stuff where you're actually building their faith. Like, no one goes into the weight room and says, I want to bench 300. Maybe they do, but you know what? They don't start there. It's where you're like, okay, we're going to put some weight on a bar. So we're going to do an outreach. And what you do is you create a culture and of a culture of collaboration, where some kid knows to get the rake or knows to get this. You set in the tone for a couple things. Like, 1 year I bought a commercial grade mower, blower, rakes, trailer, van. We spent $30,000. We raised the money, and we call it Project Jerusalem, because I got tired of taking kids and raising tens of thousands of dollars and taking kids on missions fields, and it was a one and done. It was an event, as opposed to an encounter and something that was sustainable. And so they have the van and trailer still at the church, and that lasted for 15 years. And so you want to start off somewhere, you're going to serve right here, right now. We're going to go to senior citizens places. We're going to do stuff that's going to develop your spiritual muscles, so that it's not just, you know, I got turned off by youth missions the first time I showed up to a church I ended up going on staff with, when they went to Jamaica for a mission trip. And the kid said, it was the most amazing vacation I've ever been on. I'm like, you ridiculous. And it was, the church literally shut down youth missions for 3 years. And I came there and we started back up. But I just think that first of all, I want to say taking a risk, but there's also got to be some things that there's got to be buy-in. They've got to commit to some things. There's got to be a part where, like, hey, I've got skin in the game, you got skin in the game, but let's start off small and do something big. That's just my thing. Because I know kids who are like, we're going to go to Trinidad, we're going to go to China. They go, and it's like an event as opposed to an encounter.
Yeah, I think encounters are huge with anybody, but especially young people, because that's what changes their faith from their mom and dad's or their grandparents to their own, if they have that encounter with Jesus. And it's also like that altar experience that in the Old Testament we hear the Israelites building every time that God met them. They build an altar to remind the past generations, this is where God met me. So encounter is huge, experience is huge. We're going to take a quick break. I want Debbie just to share some upcoming things that we have that Elim Fellowship is providing. I also want Joe to share a little bit on some free coaching that's available that you really should take advantage of, because this is a perfect time to be coached. So Debbie, go ahead and share a couple things there, and then Joe, you can just pipe in right after that.
Okay, well, hi guys. We've got a couple things happening tomorrow that we'd love for you to be a part of. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., Jody Seidler is hosting a 50-minute prayer session through Facebook Live, and you can watch this and agree with her in prayer by heading to our Elim Fellowship Facebook page. And then next thing happening tomorrow is the HerCon. The conference has been pre-recorded, and there will be a live premiere on Facebook at 8 p.m. On the following day, Saturday the 18th, the HerCon staff will email the conference link to everyone on the Her Movement mailing list, and it will be available to all on EF's YouTube channel. To join the mailing list, visit elimfellowship.org/multiply/women. And then go ahead, Joe, with your stuff.
All right. Well, wow, I thought Eric, just appreciate what Eric's been sharing, and taking the time to be with us is just a real privilege. Thanks, Eric. You know, one of the verses that I've been kind of working on me is, unless a grain of wheat fall into the ground and die, you know, it remains a single seed. But if it dies, then sometimes God will put us into dark, even dirty places that are very confusing and disorienting. And we fight. We have a tendency to fight against it and say, why are we here? But that might be the very place where God wants you in order to grow you into who he's growing you. Seeds were meant to be buried. And sometimes I know I feel buried in this time because it's just like, whoa, one thing after another after another. But one of the things that we can do, other people have been calling me about with those same feelings of being buried, disoriented. And we have coaches that can help any one of you. Actually, right now, we're giving out 4 free sessions. A coach will help you process different things that are going on in your head, different things that you see around you. They can also help you set goals, reach goals. But, you know, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear. There's even grief because there's a lot of loss. And my neighbor, her son's graduating from high school. Well, Anthony, you mentioned it. And she's absolutely brokenhearted. And so's her son. That, you know, that it's not going to be anything of what they expect. So there's lots of grief, and some of you may be feeling that also. And really, a coach, you know, if it's a counseling situation, our coaches will bump it over and tell you to go to a counselor. But some things, a coach will help you think through, process through. A coach is a planning partner, and I would say give it a try. You have nothing to lose. It's free. It may be a little scary for some people to meet with somebody they don't know. But it's one of the best things I've ever did. And most everybody that does it finds it to be a super positive experience. So if you're interested, you can go to the website, elimfellowship.org, go to the grow section, hit that, then go to the coaching session, and then there's a form. Fill that form out, and me or Joanne, my wife, will get you set up personally with a coach. So I hope you give it a try. Thanks.
Joe, real quick, how long's a coaching session go for so they can kind of block out?
Oh, it was 1 hour.
1 hour. So I've been coached. I do some coaching. It's a real benefit. So I'd encourage you to jump in on some of that. And it's free. So got no excuses. And you're home. So take advantage of that. Again, Eric, appreciate what you've been sharing. Storms. I find out that during storms, a lot of Christians, that's where they throw in the towel. We know a lot of people that have gone through Bible school that were at the top of the class that you really thought were going to change the world. And something, Paul he wrote about it there in Galatians, like, who cut on you? You were running a good race. Who cut in on you? And I think it's how we react to these storms or respond. If we react, we usually don't react correctly. But if we respond correctly, it usually makes us stronger. And shows us really what's in our heart. But I know a lot of people that would be in the ministry, but they, God disappointed them because of a storm or a trial or a fire. And I'm not saying anything new to you folks, but we're in a storm that we've never seen before, and your young people are in it too. And I'd like to see us get to the other side of this thing and see how God is going to use us once we get out of the boat, because things are going to be different. The normal, I think, is not going to be normal anymore, which I think is okay, but it's going to be a definite change of thinking on how we do stuff. So anybody have any thoughts or questions for Eric before we move on here? We got about 20 minutes left, but I want to open it up if you have any questions. Well, there's also the chat button there. If you want to go ahead and write a chat or something that you want to talk about, we can jump in that. And I want to say real quick hi to everybody on Facebook that's joining us live on Facebook. All you folks here that are on the Zoom, your faces are being spread across the country on Facebook. So smile brightly. And so anybody got a thought, question they want to ask Eric, or just a comment about what he was sharing? Just give a couple seconds for that. We got a small group here, so we can choose. Maybe I'll start just choosing anybody here. Nick, you got a thought or anything? Put you right on the spot, bud. You're in bed. You're all comfortable.
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely been it's been an interesting ride, and it's a different experience, something we've never seen before, and there's a lot of challenges that come with it. We've seen some really good and exciting things in our ministry, but also some really difficult and challenging things. And I think this week we've kind of, the novelty of it seems to have worn off for our students. And they're
it is getting old, I will agree.
Yeah, it's getting old. And so that's and I think for us as leaders too. And so it's just another new challenge. And but we're excited. We're starting some new things this week, kind of some in addition to our normal weekly online youth ministry meeting. We're starting to do a couple just informal get on a Zoom meeting for 20 minutes and have coffee together in the morning or lunch together, and just some time to talk with for the students to talk with some people that aren't in their house, and maybe share and just fellowship together a little bit in that way. So it's kind of something we've had on the back burner since long before this, but now we actually get to start doing it in a way that looks very different than we thought it would.
Sure.
I was gonna say to you, Nick, it's gonna be really interesting how, if you think about the generation right now, everything is so, their faces in a screen, and now they're actually on screen overload. Like, the actual desire is, can we actually be together? Not just, there's not 140 characters, not a quick burst, not a Snapchat, but okay, I'm really missing you. I want to connect. Yeah. And I want to just encourage you all. And I just want to say, I'm so grateful for youth leaders, because my youth pastor is on my board. He is one of my best friends. He has discipled me. Just amazing. And I just want to encourage you in the superpower of consistency to keep on rolling. Because, man, like Mark was saying, Mark and I, we're the old guys in the game, but you know what? And I mean, hey, we've seen a lot of people. I'd say that we know a lot of people are way more anointed and great and better and had this and that. But you know what? The race is not to the swift, but to those who keep on going. And so I want to encourage you to keep on going. But I'm thinking, just kind of pushing out there a little bit for you all. Like, what are the things that you're thinking that are going to be different that you can do after this thing's over, right? Like, they're going to be kids who are going to be concerned about social distancing, parents who are going to be paranoid about it. What is the space and place you're going to do? How are you going to onboard them back into the dynamic of relationship and meeting that need? So that's coming to meetings and conversations I'm having with pastor leaders. Like, how do we actually create an environment online, even an online presence for these kids to connect while you're doing your thing? Like, what are you going to do? Because you guys are pastoring and leading the hover team. Like, parents are like hovering everywhere, like, we're going to make sure. And I mean, so those are things I'm just, not answers now, but just encouraging you to think beyond that moment, because it's going to be here like that. Yeah. And I think a lot of kids are going to start coming because they realize that something was missing. The fringers are good. There's going to be a new realm of fringers now, because the fringers are going to be like, dude, I just want to be around people. Right.
Yeah. One of the things I've been praying about, or I feel like the Lord's put in my heart to pray for myself and for you leaders, is creativity, a new realm of creativity of when we do re-engage, what is that going to look like? And God would already start giving you some creative ideas on how to be ahead of the game here and hit the ground running. But it's definitely going to be interesting. I know a good fundraiser would be selling masks. You could probably send a bunch of kids on mission trips if you do some of that.
Selling meth? Selling meth?
Masks.
Oh.
No, you can do that one, Joe.
I've been watching too much Breaking Bad, I guess.
Have any of you thought of those ideas of, once this thing dies down a little bit, and it will eventually get there, how to re-engage, how to what are you going to do, that awkward hug, what's going to be happening in some of your thinking? Any thoughts with that? Melody or somebody out there want to dive in? I love putting people on the spot. It's just
it's just a little crazy in my house tonight. I
see kids walking around. Yeah. That's why I'm at the office, because
not kidding. My butt. So there you
go. Yeah, my butt. There we go.
Yeah.
So she's in youth ministry right now. So
yeah, it's a little crazy. I apologize. So
that's all right. It's all right.
Trying to get them to stay in the living room, but I put out a movie. It's not working.
Best laid plans.
Yeah, I talked
Go ahead, Mel. It's all right. We most of us have kids here, and we can fight through that. She's just swearing at him right now. So
She's just beating him right now. They'll be right back in a second. She's gonna gag them from crying. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
We
Maria,
witnessed
do
it.
you have any thoughts or comments?
I have to report her. I'm in Connecticut.
What's Maria? Do you have any thoughts? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I haven't really, I didn't think about that yet, like how to greet the students after all of this. The church I go to, there's about 20 students in our youth group, and they're all young. They go up to about age 11, from like 3 to 11.
Oh, wow.
So it's really like children's ministry.
Sure.
And so, you know, they love to hug their teachers and all of that. So that is something I'm going to have to think about is, you know, how do we greet each other when we go back?
Yeah. I mean, I was in the store the other day, and I ran into somebody that I knew, and I instantly was, you know, just out of reaction, was just gonna go, and it's like, oh, we can't do that now. And it's just, gotta retrain, especially us Italians. That
I know.
It's gonna be a real cultural challenge there.
Yeah, the Latinos down in New York, had a meeting with a lot of the pastors down there, and it really is affecting them.
Oh yeah.
That they can't, and some of them are serious issues going on, and they were saying we're huggers, we're very physical, and they can't do that. And it's something that they have to process, adding to their grief and disorientation.
Yeah, I know we joke about it, but there's some strength and some just you know, something that comes with connecting like that. So Angela, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a big question. Just like Maria said, I didn't process that. In my mind, I'm like, oh, it's over. Let's hug everybody. Come on in, bring it in. So it's something to bring up to the youth leaders and just talk about together and how we're going to approach it. With our church, we reach 2 different communities. So we have our St. Anthony kids, and then we have our city church kids. So most of the St. Anthony kids, they're kids whose parents don't really like look after them. They're kids that are on the streets and they hang out, and so those are the kids that I want to hug the most.
Yeah,
sure.
And
it's
hard, and I'm a Latina, hashtag I love hugs. I really do. It's hard. It's very hard.
It's something I'm even having to think about with Saturate coming down the pike. You know, we're saying November, that everything should be, you know, but who knows, you know, one of the doctors is saying that it could be seasonal. It could kick up again in the fall. And even if everything's, you know, we got the green light to go, I just don't know if people are going to sign up to, or even have the money to sign up to go to a big conference, let alone be around a crowd. So it's just a lot of thinking and preparing that we need to do. And it's going to be a new age here. So.
Well, something you can think of too, right? One of the things that just some of the conversations we've been having, it's first of all, I was just thinking about providing masks or gloves or whatever, right? So you have them for people if they want to. But the other piece too is actually having a conversation with the staff and people first and foremost. Hey, we want to prefer the weaker brother. Not that they're weak in a sense, but I'm saying, hey, my son's on autoimmune suppressants, so we're thinking differently how we're going to do things. We're just saying, hey, just be aware of it. So it's really being aware and saying we want to cultivate a culture of compassion, of awareness. And if that's set, then people will feel like they have access to have the conversation. I grew up in Jersey. Everyone, I grew up around 99% Sicilians. The 1% that wasn't was me. And so the rest of it is, of course, it's like you walk into a room and hug everybody's like, what's the matter for you? Like, oh, okay, it's a problem, right? And so in Connecticut, even in my culture, I mean, we hug. We're a hugging church. We're like, oh my gosh, we have all. I mean, we've got Boricuas, we've got Chilenos, we got probably 13 nations represented, and there are homogenous, hugging people caring for them. But we're saying, hey, but what about the 70-year-old person we know who has high blood pressure and has diabetes? How are we going to care for them and make room for them, right? So it's those conversations that we have, those uncomfortable conversations that we have ahead of time that are preparing the church at large for consideration, right? So we know people are going to come back slowly. We know parents are going to be like, oh my gosh, what the deal? But if we're having those conversations and saying to them what some of the precautionary measures we're taking, then I think you're going to buy in faster, and you're going to deal with people who say, you know what, if you really had faith, you wouldn't wear a mask or gloves. That's fine. That's okay. But that's whatever. I'm saying, how do we love people well? And I think that you're already doing that. You're already thinking about how you can spend the time and energy investing in young people, even asking them, hey, how do you think we can care for our folks better as we start talking about getting back and getting them thinking about it at a time and finding. And I would say that parent who is always a problem you want to avoid that drives you crazy, probably have that conversation with them early. So you're like, yeah, okay, let me just talk to Susie because she's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like, get that one out of the way.
That's really, really good, challenging stuff to be thinking about ahead of time here. Sir Angela, you raising your hand or are you cracking your knuckles? I do it all the time. Mel, do I want to give you time to share anything? Is that safe to ask you again, or is it?
Yeah, we'll try it. No, yesterday we had a Zoom meeting. We try and do it every Tuesday with our youth kids. And one of the things that I had asked them is if they were getting outside, running in your backyard, are you going for a walk, a hike, whatever. And it's something I've been doing on a regular basis to try and create a routine, to have a routine. And I thought getting outside was important for them to not be inside all day long.
Yeah, weren't you flying some kites the other day?
Yeah, with the kids, yeah, yesterday. Yeah, so it's just, I felt like that was important for them to create a routine of getting out, even if it's just going in the backyard, running around for an hour, get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
Got to take care of the physical stuff as much as, that helps the mental.
Very much.
So they need that as well. And they weren't getting outside.
Yeah.
So they're just inside all day long, either video games or schoolwork or whatever. And yes, I just was encouraging them, and they miss their friends. And that's tough. I mean, I'm seeing it with my kids. Even we drove up, 2 of my son's friends were walking. They probably shouldn't have been together, but they were. And he's like, I miss them. I miss hanging and playing basketball. So they're social people, and we're all social, but they need that. And they're definitely starting to feel the loss of connection. So I just was trying to encourage them to get outside, get some fresh air. It will help clear your mind. And then stay in routine, don't try, make a to-do list, whatever, things like that to try and stay on track, because it's easy to get off track.
Yeah, routine is huge, and getting them a break from their screens. I don't know if you all saw it, but on Facebook, I think Joanne put it on the EF Facebook site. She has just a little schedule thing out there on scheduling kids, routines and stuff like that. So if you want to take a look at it, and it might be just something to have a little template there if you need some place to start, or just encourage parents with, hey, found this online here, this might help you, because it's been huge with our family just to do a schedule. I mean, this is my wife did this on a Word document, and it's got every hour scheduled out. Not that we go to it to a T, but we're pretty close to the whole thing, and it really makes a big help with a lot of the stuff there. So any other thoughts, questions, or comment? Is there anything that you guys want to talk about in the next couple weeks here, or that we could be planning to talk about? On your chat there's a link that I put up on our youth ministry page on how to lead teens during the pandemic. And so if you want to click on that, that might just help different ways of doing youth ministry. I thought it was just a little helpful resource there. We try to throw things on there every now and again, but any other thoughts, questions, anything we want to pray about? I know Anthony brought up a good one about just, I really want to pray for our seniors and their parents and some of the things that are going on there. Any other things that you want to pray about?
Mark, I know we were, before all this happened, there was a lot of talk with kids with disabilities or like autism or things like that, and just how to work with them and how to connect with them in our youth ministries. And now, I don't know how to work with these kids that are way off of their routines, and a routine is huge for kids that are that are on the spectrum and dealing with those things. So maybe next time we meet, we can just go into some of that or just different ways that we can help their parents or connect with them or find ways to minister to those kids and to pray for them.
Yeah, we might even just do a specialized huddle with that. Any of you guys, just with a raise of hand, you got kids with special needs or hidden disabilities and things that in your group that would find that encouraging? I know I could even bring my wife on because she's got her master's in special education. She's dealing with this every day. And plus she's married to me, so I'm always someone she could work with. But she's dealing with parents, and if these kids get off their schedule, it could be a real deal breaker. And so there's some helpful things out there. I know for Kyle, my oldest, he's got some hidden disabilities and a lot of anxiousness. We found with Dr. Fred Antonelli through the Agape counselors, we found him his own counselor that he can just Zoom with and talk to about some of the things that she's there just for him. And I don't know if this is across the board, but if a counselor is doing a Zoom meeting, there's no cost to you. The state is picking it up. So it might be something to look into for some of your kids as a resource, because it's not an official counseling meeting because they're not face-to-face. It's across Zoom, so the state's picking that up. So that might be something to look into. Any other things we could pray about? So it's almost 9 o'clock here. Everybody good? Hey, Eric, would you just lift up some of these things? Again, so thankful that you joined us. Mel doesn't want you to pray, but
I pray for her soul every day. Go, God, you know Melody? You know Mel. No, okay.
Was she the one on the mission trip that said that was the best vacation ever?
Dude, she is a stinking dynamo, man. I love her. She is great. She is a straight up killer. If you want somebody that's going to preach the building on fire, you want her to speak at your youth event. She'd kill it.
Yeah,
or your church event.
We were
preach and teach people.
I want to get her to Wings. We wanted her to speak at Wings.
Yeah, come to Wings.
She can kill it. Why not?
Yeah, we were working on a Saturate New England, but I don't know if that's going to happen now with everything. But
it's like COVID New England, bro. Okay, that's what we're like. We're cursing that.
A different type of virus. But go ahead, Eric. If you would just pray for everybody here.
Yeah, I love you guys. You're so funny. Like no one's like, we're all good. We're fine. It's all right. It's okay. It's good. Thank you.
Appreciate to do to them in a meeting.
It's okay not even to know what's up. It's like, it's okay. God, I need your help. It's all right, right? Peter prayed the most amazing prayer. Lord, save me. All right. Good. Lord, thank you right now for these powerful leaders. I thank you, God, for the love you've given them to just to dispense. I pray that they would be great stewards of what it is you entrust to them. God, they would be generous because they know they cannot give you. But Lord, I know that you told us that no one takes your life, you lay it down. And so I'm asking for the stewardship of energy and investment. They would be good energy managers. They would be good stewards of their time. They would be good stewards, God, of the of what they need to do so they can live from the overflow of their lives and not the bottom of the barrel because they're so worn out, poured out, stressed out. Yes. God, I just thank you right now for creative ideas, that you would just overwhelm us with the wonders of your love, that we would have courage to, Lord Jesus, if we see you, that you're saying rest, we're going to rest like you did in the boat. And I know, God, that the storms that we sleep through are the ones we have authority over. So I'm praying right now for each and every one of us that we would have the confidence to speak to the wind and the waves and sleep through the storms you say sleep through. So Lord, the ideas, the things that we're trying to figure out about the kids who have special needs, the different scenarios that are going on. Holy Spirit, would you help us? Would you lead us and guide us in the truth? You said, Lord, in your word, that if any of us lacks wisdom, you give it to us generously and liberally. And I thank you right now. We lack no good thing, and we can trust you, not with just some of it, but with all of it. God, you are as good as you say you are. Thank you for blessing each and every life and strengthen my pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Bless you, folks.
Yes. Thanks, Eric, so much.
Honored to be with you.
We are praying for you. Don't hesitate to connect with us throughout these 2 weeks when there's a little gap. If there's something going on, we'd love to stand with you. Do you guys find these helpful? Has this been encouraging to you? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And we just want to.
I'm going to leave now then, okay? Because obviously I see a thumb down, I'm leaving.
Yes. Well, you do what you need to do, Eric. Well, there's his picture, so he's gone. But I do want to thank you for coming on. Debbie, you want to go real quick with our last little bit of info,
Yeah.
and then we'll call it a night.
Okay.
So, God bless you, buddy.
All right, so this coming Monday at 11 a.m., EF is hosting a 30-minute webinar with Pastor Josh Finley on virtual communication, and he's just going to give some practical advice on how to effectively reach others during this time. On Tuesday, April 21st at 2 p.m., Gary Ingram will be wrapping up his 3-part huddle series on sexuality in the church. Gary's goal during this huddle is to help leaders navigate difficult questions and situations about sexuality they may face while in ministry. And finally, if you would like to be connected to Elim Fellowship, grow in ministry, and develop your giftings, sign up to be a friend of Elim. And to learn more about this, you can visit elimfellowship.org/join.
Awesome. Thanks, Debbie, for doing all that. Just really appreciate it. Again, coming on out, our next one is May. Let me look at the calendar here so I'm giving you the right date. What is it? May 14th. That's a Thursday with Josh Finley, who's going to be doing the webinar. Josh was one of my youth leaders before he became the youth pastor at Elim Gospel Church. So we're really close. I know he's close with Eric. Eric was his youth pastor back in the day. So Josh will bring something really challenging, and then we'll have Adam McCain either at the end of May or in early June, and you don't want to miss that one. Adam's kind of fun to listen to. So thanks so much, gang. Hang in there. We're praying for you, and we're here just an email away or a text or a Facebook comment or anything. We'll just like to support you any way we can. All right. God bless. Take care. Good night.